Baruch learned a very long time ago that prehistoric humans had to survive perils far greater than the ones we face today. He knows the dangers were much more obvious back then, and that the brain did well to learn to react fast when a big cat put it in danger, or when a crocodile came on too quickly. It is while walking home after a day of research that Baruch thinks again about the parasite that has lived in his brain for 36 years now, the one keeping him from living the life he would want. He has the nagging impression of being continually watched, by himself and by everyone else. He is not paranoid. He has confirmation of that. In fact, on this point, he is in no way different from anyone else, and he knows it. Baruch dresses in a perfectly ordinary way, so that nothing sets him apart from his fellow humans. When someone makes a joke he doesn't really find funny, he laughs anyway. When it rains outside, he takes an umbrella, though he would love to bathe in that Newtonian ocean. He cannot risk being soaked and presenting himself that way to his fellow creatures, cursed just as he is. One room of his house is set aside for his personal scientific experiments, and like every evening, he intends to make the discovery that will change his life. For the sake of this story, we will stop at the evening when he finally pulls it off. He is 36, and he becomes the first human on Earth to rid himself of this parasite. The first, at least, to rid himself of it entirely. He drops it into a jar and closes his brain back up. And then he takes a deep breath. He knows things have changed. He knows that from now on, he can become exactly what he wants. He puts his fist through his window. The pain and the blood streaming down his hand tell him he would do better to finish the job with whatever tool is at hand. Once the window is destroyed, he lets out a cry into the night that wakes a few of the neighbors living close by, steps through the frame, and goes out to conquer the world. We often hear, over the course of our lives, that we should not be afraid of how others see us, and that their opinion of us is not worth as much as our own. I think that is true, and Baruch would agree with me. And yet it seems impossible. When life resumes its course, we hesitate, and we go back and sit down. When we speak in front of people, we cannot manage to behave the way we do in private. It is not our fault. It is biological. The problem is that the brain is not as logical or as intelligent an entity as we believe. The prefrontal cortex is the only highly logical part of our brain. The rest seems to operate at a lower level of consciousness. Those parts do not act unconsciously, but they act fairly independently of whatever our logic begs of them. We can be sad when there is no logical reason to be. We eat another sweet, even though our higher consciousness knows it does nothing to improve our chances of survival. Quite the opposite. We feel a wave of dopamine when our joke lands, though we have no reason to want to please the people we are talking with. But above all, we are afraid of living differently, of humiliating ourselves, of taking risks, because certain parts of the brain do not properly tell the difference between a lion and a group of strangers pointing at us. The main culprit is the amygdala, the part of the brain that judges a situation in order to decide whether to activate the defense system. Increased heart rate, increased sweating, increased cortisol in the blood, diminished lucidity, in short, increased activity of the sympathetic nervous system. That is the problem. Only one part of our brain is truly and perfectly flexible in the face of modern life. We are perhaps less intelligent and more robotic than we believe. The Spinozist method of deduction we imagine our brain capable of is in fact a long way from everyday reality. Only a small part of our brain campaigns for that mode of thought, while the rest falls back on automatisms millions of years old that no longer protect us from present-day dangers. The good news is that we are not obliged to remove half of our brain, as Baruch did, in order to get out of our cage. In any case, I do not think it would be very effective. It was, of course, a distortion of reality. Today, the danger lies elsewhere. Speed of reaction no longer takes precedence over logical thought. The modern brain is obsolete. The real danger is the men who simplify complex problems in order to satisfy irrational fears millions of years old. Our strength is being able to explain the phenomena that occur around us. We can deduce their causes and their effects in great detail. It is a complex process, and it goes astray because it frightens those who refuse to submit to the power of dialogue and of human thought. The rise of certain ideologies conquers those dark parts of the human brain and ends up reaching the heart until no trace of humanity is left in our world.